Well, hello to my creative friends. Thanks for joining me today on my YouTube channel. We are turning the corner from fall into winter, and most of the leaves are off the trees. There's just a little bit left, but it's nice and warm in the studio. So come on with me and let's take a look inside. I'm in the studio and we're going to have some fun today. In fact, I just put a journal entry in my journal that says, I am done watching other people do art, watching other people make art. Meaning I watch too many videos of people doing art. So I am going to start doing some art. In that vein, today I want to talk about ugly art. Not the fact that we all make ugly art, because we know we do, but the stage of art when it becomes ugly and we want to give up and we think, what am I creating? It is horrible, it's not worth my time, and you just have to push through it. So I want to do a little mixed media demo here to show you that if you keep pushing through the ugly stage, the confusing stage, the stage where you don't know what to do, you will come out the other end with something that you're happy with. Now, I have decided, in the vein of let's get going and doing art instead of thinking about it, to use my Strathmore journals. These are 11 by 14. They're pretty big size. I have an A3. That's a humongous size. I don't know how I'm ever going to show anything on that on camera and get it all in one frame. But we're working with this today, so let's get going. I have two pads here. I have and I bought these a long time ago. I bought these just after the imposed isolation took place for the world. So the prices were more reasonable. I can't believe how prices have gone up on art supplies. But that aside, I bought two of them because I didn't know which one I wanted to use for what. One is a mixed media. This is the Strathmore 500 series, which is their highest quality series. Has 48 pages, acid-free. It's 100% cotton. For a mixed media to be 100% cotton, I don't know, I don't know if that's odd or not. But the watercolor one, same size, 400 series, it's just a step down. It is not 100% cotton, and it's touted as watercolor. So I'm not quite sure why you would have watercolor paper that is not 100% cotton and mixed media paper that is 100% cotton. Either way, this has 48 pages, this has 32 pages, so you can see the thickness is a little different too. The mixed media is 90 pound. That is comparable to my favorite Canson XL, which is 98 pound or 160 grams. This is 190 grams. Now the watercolor paper is 140 pound, 300 grams per square meter. So I don't know, we need to try them out. And that's the first part of working with your supplies. If you have a choice, if you have more than one. If you have just one, use what you've got. Nothing wrong with that. If you've got a choice, I bought both of these at the time because I wasn't sure what would work with what and what I wanted to do. So I took the mixed media and I took the watercolor. I went to the back page of each and I said, let me go ahead and play with these. Now you see they come like this with the band across the top, which I'm not too fond of because it kind of leaves a line through some of the pages. At least it did on the one, and it's a bent line right down the thing. Maybe we won't notice it later, but I went ahead and swatched on both of these. So let me see if I can do this without knocking the camera over. Again, this is the watercolor, this is the mixed media. Now, The watercolor did buckle a little bit when I was using it, but look how flat it turned afterwards. So, granted, I was only wetting small spots at the time, but it did flatten out. The mixed media did not. So I can see right away I learned something. I am not going to use a lot of wet watercolor on the mixed media. It's just not made for it. You can also see the corresponding results of swatching with, you can see it in the blue, the ultramarine blue. You can see the granulation, of course, because this is more texture than this is. But you can see how much smoother it is on here versus here, where it's very, very blotchy. It does not take the watercolor very well at all. Both showed up very vibrantly. The colors are very vibrant. And I used it's not a top-of-the-line set. Again, I got this during that time frame, about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. This has doubled in price. I cannot believe how much this is now. But I got them because they were nice, big tubes. They're 15 mil tubes. I'm not doing a review on this set, but it was for knocking around, fooling around. As you can see, the colors are vibrant. This is a pretty big tube to work with. It's going to last me a long time. I didn't feel precious when I bought it, especially at the price I paid. To use this and play around with it and experiment and mix the colors and have fun. So it's one of those sets I have that I'm going to use. There were issues with cerulean blue with this company, but they have corrected it years ago. They used to come in a little dry. And I noticed a problem with binder. The binder just spilled out on my yellow medium, which is unfortunate because I use a lot of yellow. Anyway, that aside, you know, every set you have is going. No, I can't get them. I can't get them in a row here. They keep wanting to flip all the way down the line. But every set is going to have a little bit of an issue. But just briefly, I did swatch these on a swatch card that they gave me, which is 100% cotton, I guess. It feels like it. I'm getting nice results from swatching. But you can see how vibrant the colors are, number one, and how nicely they lay down. You don't get a lot of this line distinction when you're trying to make a gradient. So it's not the paints, it's the paper. So just so you know that. Anyway, let's continue on because this is not what I wanted to talk about. However, knowing now how the watercolor works on this paper, I knew which one I wanted to use. So I did not want to use the watercolor paper for my project. I wanted to use the mixed media paper. So I made that decision, and I have a clip I can show you. I'll slip it in here. So this is the ugly stage that I wanted you to specifically see. And this is the second stage where I get stuck. The first stage being looking at the blank page. But when you see something forming and you don't like how it's coming out, then you have your second ugly stage. I had some blue triangles here that didn't really work out. So I didn't like the way they looked. So if you don't like something, cover it over. Paint over it. And that's what I did. So now I'm going to move on from here and continue on with layering and layering and layering. And hopefully I'll come out with something that I'm happy with. Okay, so I had the base of the orange, yellow, and mixture of orange and yellow background. And I was totally not happy with that. It looked too weird. I didn't know what to do with it. However, I persevered, and this is where I am now. Okay, this is kind of, if anybody has been around or knows some of the artwork in the 60s, Peter Max. This kind of reminds me of a Peter Max type thing. The colors remind me of Autumn Hathaway. She does a lot of stamping. If I remember, I will put her link in the section below. I love her work too. It's very colorful. But what I did to get past the funny, ugly stage that kind of actually immobilized me, I didn't know what to do for a couple of days. I just stared at it and said, oh no, I ruined. This is the phrase we all use as artists. Isn't it terrible? I ruined my good supplies. I ruined my book, and I can't ever get this out now. If I open it, everybody will see I did this horrible work. So all these things we tell ourselves, we have to get past it and stop doing that. Is what I did to get past it. I took this is a cheapie. I say cheapie, it's not cheap, but it's inexpensive. It's one of the best things I've ever gotten because I do all kinds of testing and playing around in this. But I took a sheet of, or I took the back of a sheet, if I can find it here. Here we go. And what I did was I laid down a bunch of backgrounds, just like I had here on a smaller scale, with a couple different colors I was playing around with it. And that enabled me to have a base to test different things. So here's what I got. So I put the background on. You can see the orange and yellow. And then I started painting over it. I painted over with different things. By the way, this is just craft paint. It's matte craft paint that you get in a bottle. It's 2-ounce craft paint. I wanted to just use supplies I wasn't precious with. I want to play around with. I want this book to be a play around book, to try different ideas and just have fun. And that's what I did. And then I tried outlining with the black. I tried overlaying with the pink and the blue, the darker blue. I tried all kinds of things. I tried using a white Posca type marker to see how that would show up on here. I tried all different things. I tried a different color background. What if I add pink? What if I do this? What if I do that? And I just wanted to practice and play in here. I tried black marker. I tried brown marker. I said, what would happen? I have somewhere here. I thought I had some blue, some like darker marker to outline it, and that wasn't as effective as this. This is kind of a nice effect. I like that. But so many different things I tried, and this enabled me to do it without feeling precious about it, without feeling self-conscious about it. I can rip this out if I don't like it and tear it up and throw it away and no one will ever know. So if you feel like that, get yourself some paper that you can work with, scrap paper. You can even use copy paper from the printer. I don't recommend it because you're not going to get similar results. Try to get something that's got some substance to it that you can transfer to your actual work that you hope will be finished work, or at least something that you're happy with. Because you don't want it buckling and you know, repelling the paint or soaking it in or bleeding or, you know, things that it will do that won't happen on your actual work. So I played with this a lot. I also made some written notes. So I put down Don't Forget Gold because I want to use some gold highlights on this. And I also wanted to try a muted background with bright foliage in the front. What I notice about this, it's all one, the background is basically all one tone. There isn't a dark or a lighter space in there for visual interest. So you see, as you use your sketchbooks and as you do these practice things and experimental works, you learn as you go. You learn what you want to correct, what you want to try differently next time, what works better. So you see, if I have a dark spot in the back, this was that mistake I showed earlier, that mistake where I had triangles. And the color looks better in juxtaposition against that darker triangle. Whereas over here, you kind of lose it a little because it's almost the same value. So all these things you're learning from doing this is very helpful. So now that I have this underway, I also experimented with lettering because I want to add some lettering to the first page of the journal. Along the lines of the Unexpected Gypsy that writes a little notation giving herself permission to experiment, and that this is her journal to have fun with and to explore. I have a similar phrase that I want to use on this first page, and I need to block out the letters. So I tested the letters. I wanted to see what a solid letter would look like on a background. Not too impressed with that. I like this a little bit better, but I really love this. This looks a little, I don't know what you want to call it. You could say teenage. You know, it's kind of primitive art. It's not fine art. It's definitely not fine art. I would say maybe pop art, but that's fun too. That's okay. That's what I want. I want something that I'm happy with, that I like the look of. So I came upon settling on this for the lettering. And then I tested some gold. I have a Liquitex acrylic ink. This is the gold one. I hope it's focusing. I tend to hold it too close to the camera, but this is what I'm going to use. And because of that, I tested a little swatch there, and I don't know if it's picking up. So I wanted to see what kind of effect I would get. So that is another test that I did on this. But do your testing first, and then you can apply it to your work without feeling too precious about it. So without further ado, let's get to actual working on this. Okay, so I have a somewhat of a liner brush here, and I have another brush that I'll use for the gold. So I want to keep them separate because I'm using a, this is an FW Burnt Umber. That's the only brown I have. I need to get a sienna, but I'm waiting to get a few things that I need. So let's go ahead, keeping this for the gold. I will wet this a little bit, get it started, and hopefully I can, oh wow, that's kind of thick. Let's see if I can thin that out a little bit. Get a little water in there. I like using these, I like these pipettes. They're really handy. They're really inexpensive too. I bought a whole bunch of them at Jackson's years ago, and I'm still working on them. Okay, here's where our tester comes in handy, because I want to see what kind of, let's see, if I do it completely thick without, that's quite dark, but maybe that's not bad. Maybe a little bit of water, just a little bit of water in there. I don't want to get it too, I want to be able to see it's brown, but I don't want to, see, even that's not, I add a lot of water in that from the top. That's a little more what I'm looking for. But the more I do that, the more fluid it gets, and the more I have to be careful of, oh boy, steady hand. Oh, not such a steady hand, huh? Well, you know, you do what you can do. All right, let's try to get these. Oh, don't go in front of it. Go behind it. Oh, don't run out of. That's what's good about liners. If they hold a lot of ink or water or whatever. Okay, now we're going to have to really give this a good shake. I had to give this a good shake because I had it in a drawer for a while, and it was really hard to see all the bubbles, but you want to kind of get rid of all the stuff on the edges when you're shaking these. And it's hard when they're new because there's not a lot of air in there to move the liquid around. But once you've used something a little bit, you have a little more air to work with, and it'll activate a little easier. Okay, so what am I going to do with this? Is it dry? Do I dare? Wow, they dry quick. They are acrylic, so they will dry quickly. That's good. I just don't want to smear that brown because that's a major thing. Okay, let's see what we can do here. I did use this a little bit. Ooh, it's gloppy. Ooh, gloppy. Well, let's see. Let's see how it turns out. I'm just touching it to that. I can always add more. I can always add more. A little goes a long way with these. I'm going to pre-wet my brush. Dry it off a little bit, just so that it's not too wet. Okay, how am I going to do this? I really want to, I've got to move this around, but I want to move it around so you can still see it. And I'm only going to do little bits because I'm not going to film the whole thing and then fast forward it. I don't have any background music to play. I don't have, I haven't mastered any way to do a voiceover on this. So I'm just going to do a little bit and then cut the clip and then bring you back when I've done more of it. I just want to test it on here. See, so you're always using your testing sheet. Okay, so is it thick? Is it not thick? Let me run right over that. It's not very thick, but it will give a shimmer when it's dry, a little more of a shimmer. So I'm going to go ahead and do just a couple here. I'm just going to run the line down the middle. Just a little bit. Just like, oh, I forgot to, I have to do that first. Or actually, I have to remember to do that. I have to connect the leaf to the stem. I hope I'm getting some shimmer on here. Doesn't look like it, but it could be the angle. It could very well be the angle. So I'm going to keep it as saturated as I can as I do this. Now if I had a gold marker, I'd be good. I saw a YouTuber using the Winsor & Newton markers. I don't have a sample here to show you, but there was one in gold and I thought it literally meant gold, and I was very disappointed to find out that it was a yellow. So, oh well, it wasn't actually metallic. I wish they would not use that word if they don't refer to an actual metallic. But anyway, I mean, I can use it for other things. It's just disappointing that it wasn't what I wanted. All right, so let's see. I don't know if you can see. That gives it a little shimmer. That does give it a little shimmer. And it'll look better once I use the brown to connect the leaves to the stem. Now, because I have, you can see that I've used up the gold there, I think I'm going to wash this brush to keep it from drying and go back to the brown since that's still a little wet on there and finish what I was supposed to do before. So let's go ahead, take care of our brushes. Always take care of your brushes, guys. It takes 2 seconds to either clean them, wipe them properly, lay them flat, or if you are using oils, and you're gonna, you go in for lunch or go in for dinner or overnight, whatever, wrap them in plastic. Just wrap them in plastic. Even with acrylics, if you have a lot of brushes, I'm not saying to do this because it really is quicker to clean them, but if you're really stumped for time, you have an emergency or something, wrap them in a wet paper towel, get them in a plastic bag, seal it up, and keep it, and then get back to it as soon as you can. So I'm going to go ahead and continue by thinning that out a little bit, but connecting the leaf to the branch, which I hope you can see here, like this, just like that. Just connect them to the branch. I'm trying to make head or tail out of this one because that's like coming from both ends. And I have to make sure I'm doing all of them. But that's way off. I don't know how I'm going to fix that one. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I'll go ahead and do that and then I'll come back. Alright, so this is what I've got so far. I used the brown ink to put in the stems, and I don't know if you can see the shimmer of the gold. Not as shimmery as I hoped it would be, but it's kind of slight. I do have another marker that is gold, but it's meant for non-porous surfaces, so I don't know how it would have worked on this, but this is fine just for my first fun play with this. Now, I'm going to take some markers, and what I want to do is outline. I want to outline the foliage, kind of like this, so that when I do the lettering over it, I still see a little bit, but it's not so wide a width that it overpowers it. So let's test these and see which one would be which. Now this is a water-based one, so I have to be careful with this, but let me see if I were to use probably this one, how that would look. And it's quite a big leaf, so let's see, if I went like that, would that be, that kind of would be overpowering. I don't really want something quite that big. Let me see the other one. The other side, ooh, the other side is a little bit too, it's almost the same. So I might have to go with the water-based, in which case I have to be careful with what I do afterwards. Let's see, this might be perfect though. Nope, not that one, that's a brush. Hoping I have this side. That might be fine. Yeah, that's this one. So I think this might be to go around them. You know what? Let me try the fine one. You can always test it. Try the fine one. See what we get out of it. Let's just see how it looks if we do a fine line around this. And it doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. I just want to connect it to that. So that's not a bad look. I can't test the larger one and then go back to the fine, but I can test the fine and go back to the larger. So let's do that. I'll pull this down a little bit so you can see it. Oh, let's see if you can see that a little better as I'm doing it. Move that down. I'm always guilty of that. I do this out of frame, and it doesn't do you any good because you can't see what I'm doing, and that's not good. But all these layers I'm adding, hopefully, will add to the nice look of the finished piece. I think that actually is not bad. That's not too bad. So I'll try that, and I'll go ahead and do the whole thing, and then I have to do the lettering on top. So let me go ahead, instead of taking up the time with the video, because it's taken a long time already, I'll go ahead and do this, and then I'll zip back on and show you the finished piece after I've used the marker. Okay, so I'm back another day, and it's sunnier today, and it is very windy, so you might hear some wind in the background. But I've got lettering down, and I'm going to use an acrylic pen to go ahead and not a very fine point, but not a thick, not a very fine point, but not a thick point either. But I'm going to use the acrylic pen and go ahead and mark around the lettering, and then I'm going to fill it in with FW black ink. This is an acrylic ink, so I'll shake this up and start with that, and we'll bring you back to see the final work. All right, so I'm back again. This is the next day, and I'm totally disappointed with the way it turned out. I had such high hopes for it. I thought it was going to look so cool. I thought it would be so good. And it looks like crap. It's terrible. I will show it to you. But I thought to myself, I was so disappointed. I said, I shot all this footage for the video, and what am I going to do with it? Am I going to just like not post it, or just trash the video, just don't even do it, or don't show everybody the final version of it, which I think is kind of cheating because you followed me all along. You want to see what happened. Not to see it would be very anticlimactic. So I will show it to you. But what I wanted to do, what I thought about, was actually something the Unexpected Gypsy's partner, James, has said to her. She said on many occasions. If you don't follow her, I'll link her videos below. She's a really talented artist. I love her work. But he says to her, when something goes bad, can you turn it around? Is there something you can do to change it and make it work for you, basically? And I thought about that, and I said, well, I made this ugly art, here I am again, ugly art, in my journal, and it's in there for good. What can I do about it? And I thought, well, what can I do about it? What happens when you make some artwork that you're not happy with? Do you just move on and try again? A lot of people do. But lately I have been stopping and thinking about the artwork and why I don't like it. What about it I don't like? What did work? What should I try again? So I spend some time looking at artwork now and thinking about what will make it better. And basically, what did I learn about it? So what I'm going to do is I'll move it over to a little farther place in the building here, in the studio. I'll move it up against the stovepipe and prop it up. It looks a lot better from far away than it does close up. So I will go over the things I learned and prop it up against the stove, and we'll think about it together. Sorry about the rain. It is raining today and it's very cloudy, so I hope this is picking up okay. Now, so of course the message is this is the start of experimenting. It's not a final painting. And I wanted that on the first page just as a reminder that this is a journal to have fun, to experiment in, to try new things, and not to take it so darn seriously. You know, we all take our journals so seriously. It's that, the blank page. Oh my goodness, if I do the wrong thing, I'll ruin the whole journal. Get over that. We have to get over that. We have to stop saying that to ourselves. We have to start giving ourselves permission to play in our journals. So, that being said, I want to go over a few things that I learned from making this piece. And that's the whole point of creating art, is that you learn from it. You're learning all the time. The more you do, the more you learn. So some of the things I learned, one of them is that I'll have a better result with smaller doodles. That scale matters, of course. The scale matters with the outline, and if you remember, if I can get this to focus, I tried to do this before and it didn't want to focus. I'm sorry, I hit the table. But remember how I was playing around with the different outline widths, I can't say that word, widths, widths, around the doodles, and I tried the thick one, it didn't really work, it looks terrible. And it clashed with it competed with the lettering, so the fine one was much better. So scale matters in that, in an outline, but scale also mattered in the shapes that I created behind the letters. So if I had smaller shapes, smaller doodles, you could actually make them out inside the letters. Now they're so large that you can't make out where there are stems and leaves. So that was one thing I learned. I have to be careful with the scale. Also, I got more visual impact from the drawing and the colors than the lettering. I had to put the lettering on because that was the point of it, but I really liked the way it looked before I put the lettering on. So, you know, where you could see the leaves and everything. So did I go too far? Maybe, I don't know, maybe there was a better way to do the affirmation. What do you think? You think, do some of you use affirmations or lettering in your journals? Let me know. Leave me a comment below, because I'd like to know maybe if there's a different way to do it or a better way to do it. Just let me know what you do in your journals. The other thing is, even though you have a practice journal for experiments like I did with this Canson I showed you, and I played around with everything, including gold paint there and making notes on the bottom, there's no guarantee that you're going to get those results in the final piece. So that's something to keep in mind too. More than anything though, this was a benefit in that I learned about my materials. You know, what they can do, what they can't do. That's so critical when you are working with different materials all the time. I learned that I have a marker that runs when it's wet. It wasn't waterproof. So if that's a look you're looking for and you want the smudges and you want that kind of runny look, great. But if you don't and you use that kind of marker, you don't want a surprise that you're not happy with. I think we've all gotten to the point in some of our work or some of our paintings where we're almost done and we try something and we just ruin it. I hate that. But it is part of the learning process, but you don't want to do it. So find out about your materials. And this helped me find out about my materials. The gold I used was not as bright as expected. And I don't know if it's because I didn't shake it enough. Originally, I wanted to use it as an ink and let it drip down, you know, drip down the page, have it drip down the top of the leaves. But I thought that might have been a little too much, and it would have been obscured by the lettering, which I was right about. But the gold I used was not very bright, so I didn't get the effect I was looking for. I do have some gold acrylic paint, which is really shiny, and that might have worked better for the application of putting in the veins on the leaves. So that was another thing. The marker, you know, running the gold paint or the gold ink that I used. And another thing, I was really surprised with the effect of using inexpensive materials. Granted, the journal is expensive, and it's gone up in price since I bought it, but I would not probably buy another one right now because I can't, it's too much. But the results were largely a result of the color choices. So you don't need expensive pigments to get a good result. I used they're little like 2 ounce craft paints, and they were matte. I got them at the craft store because I don't have a major art store near me, so I got them at the craft store. I think Blick has them too. They're little bottles. They're not very expensive. Just a couple colors will do you, and you can have all kinds of creative fun. I also like that paint is matte. You can get it in a shiny version or specifically the matte version, at least in the craft store. So if you want the matte, make sure you look for that little label that says matte. The other thing I was surprised at was the way the colors overlap each other, specifically to make purple. Now, I used like a sea green and a pink. It's like almost like a opera pink. It's a shiny, bright, fluorescent kind of pink. Not fluorescent, but it was a bright pink. And so far as I know, you know, pink is kind of red. Red and green make mud, not purple. But I got purple, which was great. I was happy with that. It was great. So the result was largely experimenting and the color palette itself. I love the yellow, the orange, the pink, the green together, and you needed the black to set it off too. So you have to have all those combinations, but I was really happy with that. And I was surprised the way the colors overlapped each other. It was an experiment. I didn't know how it was going to really turn out. The journal paper finally did buckle a little bit, but it's thick. It could take what I threw at it, and it was fun working on it. So I'm going to have a lot of fun working in the rest of this journal. I know I am. I just have to take the time and do it. So good or bad, this piece is now a permanent resident in my sketchbook as a record in time of where I was in my artistic journey at this time. You don't have to feel like, oh, it's such bad art. I just want to tear it out, rip it up, so I don't have to think about it and no one else will ever see it. Don't do that. Resist the urge to do that, because it is a record of where you are now. And it will show you 6 months from now, a year from now, when you look back, you'll know you got better. When you compare your art then to now, you'll say, wow, that was really bad, but look what I can do now. So don't get rid of that stuff. Keep all of your art, keep your bad art, and also make sure you put the date on it. I went back and put the date on the lower left there, just so that I would have it. I didn't mind it being on the front. Date your work though. Date it somewhere. If you don't want to put it on the front, put it on the back. You could even go to the front or the back of the journal and write, page 1 and whatever date you did it. And that way you have a record without dating the actual piece itself. But overall, if you think about it, the message didn't change. This is a start of experimenting. It's not a final painting. It's a reminder to me that I can have fun and play in this journal. I can do whatever I want. I need to experiment. And this kind of gives you permission or encouragement to do that. So the message didn't change, and I'm happy for that. So I hope all this was helpful on your creative journey. Let me know, leave me a comment below if this changed the way you think about your journal and using materials and experimenting, and maybe you got some ideas from this too. So leave me a comment below on that. I'd like to know. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and make sure you keep creating. That's the important thing. Keep creating. And I will see you next time.